With 2026 just over a month away today, all while I do a little Christmas shopping at Disney Springs, hope you don't mind, I'm going to make the argument for why you should avoid a certain Disney World theme park in the coming year and maybe beyond. We're also going to talk about Disney's latest admission about their reliance on high-paying guests and how Pop Century actually broke my heart. But thankfully, it will not all be bad news. Hollywood Studios is on a bit of a winning streak, in my opinion, and I want to tell you all about that. So, this is probably a Disney, and as usual, we've got plenty to talk about. But before I explain which Walt Disney World park I would steer clear of in 2026 and why, I want to dive into the latest comments from the Disney brass this week, specifically from Disney's Chief Financial Officer, Hugh Johnston. And my fellow Disney park fans, you may want to buckle up for this one. So at Wells Fargo's 9th annual TMT Summit, Johnston not only suggested dynamic pricing is coming to the domestic Disney parks, which is awful all by itself and a nightmare for those of us trying to budget for our vacations, but that is another topic. What I want to focus on is the fact that he admitted openly that the Disney park consumers right now tend to be wealthy, and that has helped Disney throughout this fiscal year. So even though attendance at the domestic parks was down in 2025, although my understanding it was actually worse than the reported 1%, Disney park spending was up, and that was likely due to Lightning Lane sales, VIP tours, rising cost in food and merch, and more. So in short, fewer guests were coming to the Disney parks this year, at least within the United States, but they're making more money than ever. Admitting this, or at least using it as a means of reassurance at this summit, was a bit disturbing, in my opinion. Granted, this may have been Johnston's only course of action or explanation to who he was talking to. Context is everything, after all. But these kind of comments in Disney's present course of action is kind of an outward declaration that they're eating their seed corn. I'm sure I've said this before in past videos with you, but Disney adults and high-rolling guests have a connection with Disney due to their own childhoods. But the situation at the parks are very different now. This is not the 90s, the 2000s, or even the early 2010s. You can't do everything at Walt Disney World like you used to do without add-ons. And therefore, kids whose parents can't afford to take them or who can't afford to go and add on all these extras, they're not going to have the same experience. They're not going to have the same nostalgia or appreciation, and they may not have the same motivation to take their own kids down the road. So a generation from now, Disney's demand could be significantly different than it is right now. But in addition to that, this kind of statement, these kind of comments from the Disney brass suggest that Disney isn't leading the theme park or family tourism market anymore. They're not even trying to lead it. It's now becoming something that's kind of exclusive. Overall, the main thing I want to watch following these comments is that whether it signals that Disney's reliance on the upper class is becoming even more normalized both publicly and in terms of Disney's brand. But what do you think? Am I making too much of this? Do you agree with me? Could this be a turning point in terms of Disney embracing being an exclusive luxury experience instead of a must-do family vacation? Do let me know in the comments. But now, along the lines of Disney being kind of a bummer this week, I have to point out what they've done to Disney's Pop Century Resort. This may be something that only I care about, so my rant will be brief. But Pop Century has been undergoing a resort-wide refurbishment for most of the year, and they just completed the new look for the lobby, and I think I kind of hate it. Growing up, I loved the shadow boxes of iconic items from the different decades along the walls. I would study these when my family was checking in. My parents would point out certain things they had when they were growing up or that my grandparents had. But now those are gone, and in their place is this new, very blue Mickey and Friends mural. Granted, there are some retro items in the design, but am I wrong, or does this not just look kind of cheap? Very basic. I feel like this would be a wall at the Orlando International Airport, not a Disney resort. Now, my background is in history, and I have nostalgia for the resort's appreciation of nostalgia, so I'm very likely biased. But if you're gonna miss the old displays, the old look of Pop Century, or if you just think this is just not a great direction, let me know in the comments that I'm not alone in this. But now it is time we need to address our main topic for this video, and that is which park I think you should avoid in 2026 in terms of crowds, value, and overall bang for your buck. And that is Animal Kingdom. The obvious reason, but not the only one, is that Animal Kingdom is going to have less to offer in the coming year once Dinosaur, Restaurantsaurus, and the remains of Dino Land go behind construction walls in early February. Therefore, in terms of attractions, Animal Kingdom is only going to have Expedition Everest, Cali River Rapids, although I wouldn't recommend riding it until at least mid-March, Finding Nemo, The Big Blue and Beyond, Feathered Friends in Flight, Kilimanjaro Safaris, Festival of the Lion King, Avatar Flight of Passage, Navi River Journey, and now the new Zootopia Better Zootgether. That is only 5 rides and 4 stage or theater shows. What will help is the fact that Animal Kingdom has various animal trails, character meet and greets, and live entertainment. But there is another reason why I suggest skipping this park in 2026 and maybe even into 2027 until Phase 1 of Tropical Americas opens. And that is the fact that you'll be getting taken advantage of. A few months ago, when Disney kept with their unfortunate tradition of raising prices every year, the new price hikes ranged anywhere from 4% to 15%, even though the rate of inflation at the time was 2.9%. Animal Kingdom's prices went up with the max price for a one-day ticket landing at $184 per guest, while the Lightning Lane multi-pass for Animal Kingdom went up a whopping 20%, from $29 per guest to now $35 per guest, and that is on top of the increased ticket prices. So to put that in perspective, a family of 4 who previously paid $115 for multi-pass at Animal Kingdom this year is now going to have to pay $150, and all for fewer rides and a whole land behind construction walls. So financially speaking, Animal Kingdom is not a great value in 2026. It's actually a worse value than it was the previous year. And unfortunately, even if you're not looking to buy Lightning Lane Multipass, and if you have a Park Hopper ticket or annual pass, having so few attractions at Animal Kingdom and having things behind walls, it's going to up demand for the park's pre-existing rides. That is likely why Disney is upping the multi-pass price, because of that increased demand. But for guests waiting in standby, this is going to equate to even longer lines, both from having so few attractions and the created need for multi-pass. So it is a bad deal all around in terms of guest experience at Animal Kingdom, and at the moment, we don't know how long it's going to last. Phase 1 of Tropical Americas and the Encanto attraction are projected to open in 2027, but we still don't know just when in 2027. So Animal Kingdom could be in short supply in terms of attractions for nearly 2 years. And while Encanto will help when it opens, as will that carousel, I don't even want to think about how crazy pricing could be once it opens. Let's just hope the Indiana Jones attraction won't be too far behind it. But I think this is something that you should know if you're heading to the parks in the coming year, as I know many of you are. But if I can say anything positive, it is that Tropical Americas is honestly my personal most anticipated project in the works right now. While we don't know until we see the finished product, it at least looks and sounds like Imagineering is following Joe Rohde's principles in terms of making this land truly complement Animal Kingdom and its theme and its purpose. And I'm excited about everything I've heard in terms of both Encanto and Indiana Jones, and especially Indiana Jones. That archaeology meets culture, meets myth sounds very Expedition Everest to me, just with an IP and a different ride system. Let's at least hope so, anyway. But what do you think about all of this? Are you planning to visit Animal Kingdom in 2026? What are your thoughts on the pricing, and will this deter you from visiting? Please do let me know. But since this video has been a little gloomy, I admit I do want to end on a high note, and it has to do with Hollywood Studios. If you have been following this year's coverage of Jollywood Nights, which is Hollywood Studios' Christmas party, Disney has seriously fixed some of the issues with that party. And even though several areas are behind construction walls, they seem to have really listened to guest feedback and responded accordingly. And I always want to applaud that. I'm just hearing glowing reviews and that it's really worth the value. And then, in recent days, Hollywood Studios has leaned more into the holiday spirit by going all nostalgic and displaying props from Tim Allen's The Santa Claus, a verified classic Christmas movie in my opinion, and from A Muppet Christmas Carol, and they are all now displayed at Walt Disney Presents. This is a small thing, I know, and they could do a lot more. I mean, have you seen Universal Orlando's Holiday Tribute Store? But I am going to take what I can get with this. But that is still not all. Hollywood Studios has decided to use the figures from the Great Movie Ride in this year's holiday window displays. Again, that is a small thing. These are the dancers from the Footlight Parade sequence. But Hollywood Studios is going old school. It's leaning into nostalgia this holiday season and celebrating some beloved entertainment from the past, and that itself is a gift worth mentioning. But there you have it. You now know why I would not recommend visiting all 4 parks at Walt Disney World in 2026, as well as what Disney CFO is saying about the company's reliance on the upper class, how you can revisit your memories at Hollywood Studios this season as they are bringing their A game across the board, and my personal thoughts on Pop Century's lobby, even if I'm the only one who cares about that. But please do remember to hit that like button and subscribe. Also, YouTube has let me know that there is now a new hype button for videos that you really appreciate, that you think need to be promoted in the algorithm. And if you're like me and you feel like shaking your fist at the sky this week in terms of Disney's decisions, hype this video to let me know and maybe for others to see and agree with us. But in all honesty, I so appreciate you taking the time to watch today and for commenting and sharing your thoughts with me in the comments. And I hope that you and yours have a magical day.